Are you going to hear anything at Sintra that convinces you that they do have a plan to cap Italian and other southern European yields?
I don't think we would hear that in Sintra. They say they're working on it. We all kind of know what needs to be done, but there are both practical and legal obstacles probably to make a formal announcement or have a formal program. And issues of conditionality will also be difficult to address. But so it's not probably, Sintra is not about this as much as a sort of more background discussion about the key drivers of what sort of leads them to normalize policies, for lack of a better term.
Erik, there's no shortage of central bank speak at this point. What clues are you listening into in terms of what it means for just how quickly we're moving on policy, in terms of any extra innovation we're going to see? What's quite key at this stage?
I think the key issues here is really labor market and inflation expectations. And there are big sessions coming up today and tomorrow on these issues, as you may have seen from the program. Because ultimately we have a tight labor market, but we have very high inflation numbers probably coming down at one stage or the other. And at least I think, and I think a number of people now think, that there is a very major risk of a recession later this year. So can you really hike interest rates into a recession even if inflation is high? That would be unusual.
Erik, we were pondering the time frame from a slightly different angle earlier, and in the context that now even stateside, some economists are saying, look, we think 2023 could even be a rate-cutting story from the Fed, which is completely in contrast to the narrative we've had in recent weeks. If that is the case, what sort of runway does the ECB have at this point, given they haven't even moved on rates at this stage?
So that's a very good question, and I actually share that view. I think there's a very high chance that the Fed end up cutting rates sort of towards the end of next year or something. And this is the recession story again, right? Now, on the issue of the runway for the ECB, and this is where my criticism have come in or have been focused, it is that they talk about a gradual hike pattern towards 1.5 or maybe 2 or what have you sometime next year. But because of this forward guidance, they have already implemented via markets a massive tightening or a complete removal of the monetary stimulus that we have had. So we have had actually over the last few months, or since February, we have had probably the biggest withdrawal of monetary stimulus in decades. So it's already done. And this is, I think, the problem they are facing, that they haven't done anything, but they said they would, into a very uncertain world. So yes, I think the market got this, but I think the market got it wrong, because with recession very likely coming along, with zero growth or even negative, they can't implement what they're saying. They'll do the next one or maybe one more hike, but then it's going to be very difficult for them, both in the US a little bit later and in Europe.
Erik,